5, 7, 1, 2, 3.
Hi, this is Pods and Ends, the junk drawer of pop culture and geek podcasts. Hello, and welcome to Pods and Ends, episode 14. Today we have myself, Phil.
And Sophie.
And Shelby.
And I'm Brian.
We've all recently been to the cinema and we've watched Captain Mar-Vell.
We have.
That's our main discussion for today. But we also have various sections of today's podcast, which is what, Sophie?
We have got, for your ears, Off the Shelf, Silver Screen, What's Your Jam, Locker Room, and a Netflix and Chill. So, shall we dive right into Off the Shelf, sometimes known as True Beauty? Turn off the television. In fact, why don't you turn off all the lights except for the one over your favourite chair? It's time for Off the Shelf.
Yeah, the official True Beauty segment.
So,
Please visit Please visit Line Webtoon for more information.
I thought you were going to say LimeWire and be like, no, don't do that.
I think the main thing to take from this week's episode of True Beauty is I do not know who I ship with who anymore, to be honest. I think I just ship everyone because I just don't know anymore. They both seem... I always find if one of the guys, if Suho's on the screen, then I'm like, oh, I don't care about the other guy. But then if Sojin's on the screen, I like him. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going on. Where do you fall on this?
I'm usually a shipper of the first person that was introduced.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But, I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I'm just going to let all my ships sail. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just ship the two dudes together while
That could be easier.
the main character watches them
Yeah.
and gets mad.
What about you, Phil? Who are you shipping with? Are you even caught up yet?
Yeah, I like the big sister. I ship me and her.
I do like her. She likes to drink.
Yes!
And then eat.
And she's
McDonald's.
helped out with her funding now as well, because the mum is being...
I know, she's...
Oh, but love is shown in different ways.
by like yelling at each other.
Yeah.
And being mean.
I mean, that's how you guys do it.
Well, this is true. It's worked for us for a while, hasn't it? That's True Beauty. So I think we can sort of round that off to say we're all a bit confused. We don't know who to ship her with, but the sister came through for her, which we're all really happy about, I'm sure. I have got a book that I'm reading at the moment that I know Brian's going to have a little grumble at this, so we'll just turn his mic off for a second.
You're too far.
Because I'm about halfway through The Legends of Luke Skywalker by Ken Liu, which I know you had a crack at and did not care for it, shall we say.
Nope.
But I read it, I was really just came through it yesterday because Phil had a bowls match that's not featuring in the locker room. And so I got about halfway through.
Low-key dig,
Yeah.
but go on.
Sophie has no friends.
Wow, okay. I'm quite into it at the moment. I can see why if you just read the first, legend, so to speak, because the whole premise of the book is it's a bunch of kids and adults on their way to Canto Bight. I think they're on some sort of ship, and they're swapping stories about what they've heard about Luke Skywalker. The first one is probably the weakest one that I've read. So I'm on to the third legend at the moment, and the second one was really, really strong because it was the story of an Imperial soldier who met Luke in the aftermath of the Battle of Jakku. He kind of like pulled him from a wreckage, and that was quite interesting because obviously he did not like Luke at all, and he's got a reputation for kind of being this like cackling, evil like Jedi master, a bit like the Emperor. So that was a cool viewpoint, and now we've got some interesting like Waterworld thing. So I'm liking it so far. It's kind of reminding me of why I like Luke as a character, because I kind of fell out of love with him a bit in The Last Jedi when he was like proper mean to Rey, and I was not okay with that. I'm not gonna lie, he's been a little bit dead to me for a year. However, this book's making me be like, oh yeah, Luke, I do like Luke actually, he's cool. So we'll see how it goes. I'm into it so far.
Well, good.
Well, good for you.
I will continue not reading it and be
Okay.
happy about it.
Good. I think Brian is done with that
Yes.
commentary.
Yep.
So,
No more from
Yes.
me.
but it
Good.
was no, so I'm into it. I'll probably finish it pretty soon as well, which is good because I had a rubbish month last month for reading, so I'm hoping to pick back up again this month. Scooting away from the library and into the silver screen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats for the silver screen.
I had two things that I was going to say. One that I'm just going to chuck out there is a little bit of goss that's been floating around. Wondered what you guys
Oh
thought.
my.
Apparently, Matt Smith isn't in episode 9. There's some thing that's come out, and I wondered how we all.
I don't know who
Doctor
that is.
Who.
He was
neither.
one of the he was one of the Doctor Who's, the most recent.
Oh,
one.
I
it's
don't
the guy that was supposed
Yeah.
to be in it and then is.
So how do we? Are we like
well,
fine with that? I take it as none of us are clearly Matt Smith fans.
yeah, I was like, yeah, it makes no difference
Yeah.
to me. He probably had a bit part and it got cut.
But yeah, it seems like quite a big name to have a
Okay,
bit part.
so
Oh, buckle up,
Here we go.
when he was given the doctorship,
Doctor Who role.
that's what I said.
They give them real doctorates.
He came out in the press before it came out and said that he wasn't doing any of it and it was all lies and that all the stuff that he'd recorded had been cancelled and that there was actually a different doctor.
Oh, okay.
So he's basically a fibber and he is going
He's
to
known
appear in
for
it.
this.
And his role
He's
is going to be a
basically
more
like-
secret role, so they don't want it coming out.
Ah,
You
so
heard
he's
it
like
here first.
he's like the Emperor or something.
Potentially he is the Emperor. Yeah.
He's Snoke's twin brother.
Yeah.
Snook.
Snook. Oh my goodness.
So basically, I've just debunked your theory, unless we watch it and then he's not in it, and then I look stupid. But I think there's a good chance that I'm not. So anyway, moving on.
I'm not sure how I felt about that. Wow. Okay, so that's it. We're just okay.
It's a nothing subject.
Hey. I just wanted to know how people felt because obviously the casting
None of us-
got quite busy.
I'm going to edit all this, so don't worry.
I'm just saying that my view was I was a little bit relieved because they kept announcing new names like Richard E. Grant and Naomi Ackie and stuff, and I was a bit like, well, I'm freaking out because there's enough characters already that you've got to wrap up. Let's not introduce too many more new big ones. So
True.
for me, it was one less person to take up screen.
Oh, they're not wrapping things up.
True.
That's naive of you to think. There are 2 more trilogies in the works. There are basically 0 chance that this stops at 9. Come on.
Well, I meant.
Disney's going to keep the train rolling right down the line.
Yeah, I kind of just thought with like these characters, that it was gonna sort of I just needed some decent conclusion for like Ray, Finn, and Poe, and I didn't want people hogging their limelight. And Hux, obviously, Hux is getting his own trilogy soon. Anyway,
That's what Ryan Johnson's actually
Yeah.
doing.
Oh
No,
my-
we don't want him
The
doing
Hold
it.
Up for Hugs
That's right.
trilogy.
I know. Who disrespected him?
Don't. It's not even funny. It's not even funny.
Oh my god.
The greatest
All right.
cinematic character
right.
ever.
Moving on.
Shelby's having to be the moderator here, Phil. Moving on,
I am.
I watched Annihilation.
I watched
in
a
the
bit of
week.
it. I fell asleep because I was really tired.
Phil had to go to bed, unfortunately, and leave me to
You are the worst.
suffer alone in terror.
What I did see, I liked.
Yeah. Yeah, I am going to just sort of crack on and
weird.
talk about it, though, because
That's fine.
I need to talk about the bear.
That's my favorite
I'm
part.
not okay about the bear at all. No aspect
That's the
of
one
it.
thing I still think about when the lights are off and I'm laying in bed at
Yeah.
night.
It's like,
And I'm like, oh gosh.
I said to you guys in the chat, I don't like big things that move really quietly and quickly. Like that just really sort of that freaks me out a lot, and it moved. Obviously, when it did make a noise, it was horrifying. But I didn't like the way it kind of could sneak up on them a little bit. That was just really traumatic. And then I didn't like the way the thing moved at the end of it as well. That also really troubled me. But it was a great film. I can see why you guys were like raving about it at the time. I'm like still thinking about it now. I don't even feel ready to like properly, you know, if we were going to do an Annihilation episode, I'm not even quite ready to.
Oh yeah, it takes a while to like just chew on that.
Yeah, I'm still kind of processing it. But it's a really, really great film. I thought Natalie Portman was really good in it as well, and Poe Dameron. Oscar Isaac, that's it. He's such a great actor. He's really, really like versatile. Everything I've seen him in, I've really liked.
How did you feel about the intestine part? Because that part really screwed me up.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. That was troubling. I actually found it more troubling the sort of finding him afterwards in the swimming pool thing. I found that really. It's strange because I'm normally quite easy to scare in films, and I found it more surreal scary, apart from the bear. But the bear was just straight up scary. And
the crocodile.
Yes, because again that moved too quick.
The crocodile shark thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, the whole thing just had this really surreal, and we probably need to do an episode on it so we can really talk about the ending, because I'm still a bit like, so yeah, maybe you can catch up on that. And we can
I'll
talk about
definitely
it.
watch it again.
Yeah,
I liked.
I need to rewatch it too.
Yeah.
I think it could.
I liked when they
like
went
to
through
read
the
it, too.
barrier, and then all of a sudden they're like, "What's going on?" It's like 3 days later.
Yes,
and that was a bit freaky, but
yeah. And I loved Tessa Thompson as well in it. I really liked her character. I thought she was really cool. So yeah, it was a really great film. Highly recommend it. As Brian and Shelby have been saying for months now. So.
And it's on Netflix.
It is on Netflix. Yes, isn't it Netflix film? Isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's on Prime too, so whatever you have, you can probably find it.
Yeah.
Unless you don't have those two things and it's not available on anything else, then you can't. So
That's a good caveat,
yeah.
Brian. Thanks.
Yay me.
So, shall we? Enough of me talking. Let's head to the locker room for Phil or Chad Chaddison.
Listen up, sports fans. It's time for the locker room. Well, hello, this is Chad Chaddison. Not so great news today. Over here on the other side of the pond. As Sophie said earlier, we weren't going to discuss the bowls, but I can't leave all of the listeners wanting to know what happened. But there was a humiliating defeat. For some reason, I was pathetic in more ways than one, and I lost both sets, and I got knocked out in the first round, and I considered giving up bowls. But I'll come back stronger. I'll come back better. It's fine. If you want to join my Patreon to pay for some bowls coaching, then please do. Visit philisrubbishatbowls.com. And hopefully someone can knock some sense into me and make me perform like I used to. But yeah.
I'll be there in July for training.
Thank you.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm a bit down in the dumps about it, as you can probably tell. But in better news, my team, Tottenham Hotspurs, beat Borussia Dortmund in the second leg, 1-0 of the Champions League, and now they're in the quarterfinals. It was rather nice in front of what they call the Yellow Wall, which is their fans' single-tier stand. Very spectacular to watch. It is on my bucket list to go one day and stand in the Yellow Wall and cheer on the German side. And then in other news, Manchester United were 2-0 down against Paris Saint-Germain, the team from Paris. And no team has ever qualified for the quarterfinals of the Champions League being in a position of 2-0 down after the first leg. And they managed to win 3-1 with an with an overtime penalty. And even I cheered, didn't I? And I'm not even a Man United supporter.
Yeah, you did.
But I was proud that we beat the French team as an English team. So come on, you Red Devils. As long as they're not playing Tottenham, and then I want Tottenham to win. And yeah, that's it really. That's all my sports news this week.
Excellent.
Cool.
Well, the NHL playoffs are starting soon, and March Madness obviously
Bleh.
starts soon. That Shelby absolutely adores.
Thanks, Brian.
What is March Madness?
March Madness is the NCAA basketball championship like bracket playoff.
Mm-hmm.
So that you get 64 teams. Well, now it's more because they have these weird play-in games. But essentially, it's 64 teams in 4 little divisions, and then they play each other, and the brackets go, and you get to the Final Four, and then the championship game. And it's really good if you like basketball, which I do, but I do not care for the NBA. College is where I stopped my interest in basketball, but March Madness is fun. I don't watch much basketball anymore at all until we get to this point, and then I get excited about it, and Shelby just rolled her
It's
eyes
like the FA
because
Cup.
She is no fun.
Okay.
And if you remember on How I Met Your Mother, they nicked the whiteboard from Lily's school and drew it all up and decided who was going to win, so they could put bets on it and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that's why Shelby likes it so much, because she really likes filling out brackets.
So,
The literal worst.
where's your money? Who you backing to win it?
I like Tennessee.
Okay.
Who are they?
I like my own wallet and keep
Yeah.
my money there.
Yeah, I think Duke is a big favorite, but I'm with Connie and the Volunteers this year.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm with the Penguins for the NHL, obviously.
Obviously.
Still sitting at that wild card,
So are we.
so fingers
Go
crossed.
Penguins.
That's right.
I like Detroit Red Wings.
Oh, you do like the Red Wings.
They're probably
don't
not-
you?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't look at their
Yeah. To
standings
be
right now
honest,
if I were you.
I when I started watching NHL, that's when they were winning everything all the time.
Isn't
so
that why? Isn't the reason why actually because we watched Scrubs and Dr. Cox used to wear a Red Wings jersey?
no,
Oh,
it's because it appeared on Sky for 3 years, and those 3 years they did really well. So you
And
just
then
naturally back
they
the team
bought
that's
you.
winning. It would be like being a Patriots fan, wouldn't it?
yes.
Because they just win everything all the time.
Yeah.
I like American football now,
kind
and I
of,
like the Patriots. Like that. That's
But if you want to be a Red Wings fan now, you look legit because they're pretty bad.
awful. Yeah,
Although they beat the
Yeah.
Canucks when we saw them, didn't they?
they did.
Shall we leave this sweaty locker room and head over to what's your jam?
Far out, man. What's your jam?
So guys, what's your jam?
Juice WRLD is out with a new album, and I'm not sure if it is my jam or not, but it's called Death Race for Love.
The
And
cover is amazing.
It
It's like
is-
an old PlayStation 2 game, and it's just fabulous.
There's a couple songs that are really good. We kind of previewed the album when it first came out.
There's
that night.
so many tracks on it.
I think it's like
22 or something.
wow.
Like, it's so
That's a
many.
big commitment.
Yeah, and they're not like 30 seconds. They're 3+ minutes each. It's insane. The boy has a lot to say.
he does, but it all kind of sounds the same.
Well,
Unfortunately.
yeah, I mean, you get that trap beat. If you don't have something more interesting behind it, then you kind of get lost in that.
Yep, that's true. So, I mean, I still like some of the songs, so don't get me wrong. And it'll be interesting to
rhyme.
see which ones kind of climb the charts and stay up there.
Yeah, Robbery is
Robbery is good.
That's the bop.
It is the bop. I really like that song.
It's been my new favourite thing to say, to be honest with you guys.
It says here on his Wikipedia page that his influences are Wu-Tang Clan, Fall
Nice.
Out Boy, Black Sabbath, Megadeth, Tupac, and Eminem. That's an eclectic mix, isn't
The
it?
Fall Out Boy definitely makes sense.
Yeah, he's got
He sounds like Mayday Parade. But
definite emo background. It's very interesting. Like, I don't know.
if you
he's
read the
definitely
lyrics,
his
it's
own-
really interesting.
He's definitely his own artist, but also still sounds a little bit like other things. I don't know. There's an interesting subgenre of like
Emo rap.
emo rap. Yeah,
Yeah.
at least that's what we call it. There's probably like a cooler name for it.
But we call it emo rap.
Yeah,
I like it.
So that's my jam.
yeah. Check it out.
Other than the Jonas Brothers.
Still,
Oh, it's so good, honestly.
Isn't it?
I'm actually in love with it, and I'm in love with the video and everything. And
Me too.
I never was into Jonas Brothers at all beforehand, but I'd watch it at least once a day at the moment. It's really sad, but it's just a bop, isn't it? That's the thing.
I'm at the point.
It is a bop.
I'm at the point now where I'm like, I don't care what people think of my music tastes anymore. So
You never did. You used to like Nightwish and
Nightwish were incredible. Okay, there is nothing
and Evanescence.
wrong. There is nothing wrong with a bit of symphonic.
Oh, Evanescence
Finnish
is
metal,
the worst.
Okay? Finland is where the metal music scene is at. And
operatic
I loved
metal
it.
is where it's at. So.
It really is. It really is. Okay, so.
It's about that Viking metal,
I
to be honest.
I think it was the Viking blood. It just like called to me, and yeah, love a bit of Nightwish. Anyway, Phil, what's your jam? You have a jam. I'd like you to talk about it, please.
My jam. So it came up on Twitter, although I'm not on social media. That best cover songs from best cover songs. Bands that do covers.
Yes.
And it came on Twitter and we were discussing it. And then we were discussing it at work and someone put on Linkin Park's 99... I got 99 problems, but my lady friend is not one.
Oh yeah, the Linkin Park Jay-Z.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I'll tell you
that was
what,
good.
the first time I've ever heard their version of it, I loved it. So that's my jam this week.
That wasn't what I was asking about.
They have an entire EP they did together. It's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, because they did Encore, didn't they, together?
Yeah.
Those two. That's not what I'm familiar with, but
I
that's
think
not-
when it came out initially, and I was at the age where I was really into Linkin Park, Jay-Z wasn't really my thing.
Yeah.
But nowadays, my music variety is a lot more different than it used to be, and I don't mind a bit of rap, because I'm...
Jay-Z's pretty quality, in fairness, as
Yeah.
well. That's not the jam I was asking you about, though.
Oh, my favourite KK band, Momoland, are releasing their third mini-album, coming out on the 20th of March.
Having a big comeback. You need to support it, because apparently they haven't been paid for the last 6 months. So come on.
They...
Haven't been
Ugh,
paid?
honestly, these K-pop contracts are like absolutely horrendous, and there's a big thing going around that they haven't been paid, like the members haven't been paid for stuff. But let's keep it positive. Momoland are having a comeback.
But over the next week, they're releasing various things. So on Monday, they're releasing a picture. On Tuesday, they're releasing a picture. On
Like
Wednesday, they're
teaser
releasing a
pictures
picture.
and- yeah.
On Thursday, releasing a track list. I'm just hoping it sounds slightly different than Boom, Boom, and Bam. Because they both sound very similar, but they're still good.
They are good, yeah.
So yeah, we're looking forward to seeing what they're going to bring out. And let's go Merries.
Whoop whoop. Do you want to ask me what my jam is, Phil?
Soph got BTS tickets for Wembley.
Oh yeah! Bang tang, bang tang. These are legitimate as well, totally legitimate tickets. So I got a refund on the ones that were fake, and yay! It
All's
was.
well.
It was a very stressful week. I was in the queue on Ticketmaster, and then I got through, put 2 tickets in it, went, oh, there's a problem putting your tickets in the basket. Go back to the queue. So I got sent back to the queue, bit all my fingernails off, and then got through. And it was really stressful because it was saying there were like 26,000 people in front of me in the queue at one point. So that was fretful. And yeah, they sold out again. I'm so excited. We're going to go see them on the 2nd of June. And all is well in my little world now. So, yay!
You're
I
K-pop-tastic.
really am K-pop-tastic, especially since it's looking less and less likely that Big Bang are going to do some sort of comeback, because there's been so much horrendous
So
stuff
there's
with-
one of their band members called Sungri.
He's the only one not in the military, and let's be honest, he just needs to get in the military now, because he just keeps getting into trouble.
Unfortunately, he is, it appears that he has been soliciting prostitutes for CEOs of various companies
In his
to
clubs
meet at
that
his
he
club,
runs,
and he
yeah.
is now being formally investigated by the
Yeah.
Korean
Oh.
police.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
That's an interesting side
It's,
hustle.
yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, like prostitution is pretty rife in South Korea.
Well, it's just in any kind of like the club business scene, like
And
everywhere, isn't it? It just
is
not
it one of
everyone
these
gets
things where the
talked
Korean
about.
police have decided that they want to crack down on it? Let's go for one of the biggest names in the pop industry in Korea that
Yeah.
do that. So
Yeah. Make
Well, I
an
mean,
example
if
of
you're
him.
going to make an
Yeah.
example out of someone, wouldn't you pick someone
Yeah.
like that instead of
exactly,
So
I don't know,
basically, yeah.
that guy that's not in episode 9 anymore that we didn't even know?
exactly.
But yeah, I think the sooner he can just get in the military, the better. so that he can go off grid for 18 months. But I don't know. It's not looking particularly promising. Big Bang have a lot of scandals, to be honest, because they are slightly like loose cannons of the K-pop world. They're not quite as...
Is that why you like
They're
it?
like the bad boys.
I know, right? That phrase in and of itself, I was going to let it go, but...
They are just, they're a bit of sort of the bad boys of the... they've had, like, sex scandals and a few drug scandals and then a horrendous drug scandal that we will not talk about on here. And,
I kind of want to talk about it.
Oh, no, like, it was Top, wasn't it?
One
I
of
don't
their
know
members,
anything about
Top,
it.
Like,
is
the
a
best-
rapper,
the
and
best
it's my
one.
bias.
He's best bias.
He did an
He
overdose.
he
and,
overdosed.
tried to kill himself, basically.
Yeah, which again is a whole thing
Oof.
with the K-pop scene. But he was actually just started his military service, and then essentially his mum marched in there and was like, right, I am sorting you out now. And no one has seen him again since. But he is alive and well, and his mum's not letting him out of her sight, which
She'd
is...
be called an Ajima,
Yeah. And she's
which is a gruff old
hopefully-
middle-aged
Well,
woman
they're
from
lovely as well, weren't they?
Korea.
Yeah, the Ajumas were lovely to us when we were there. So maybe 4 members of Big Bang will do a reunion tour, but if not, I've got BTS tickets.
Hey, that's enough for a American boy band, just saying.
Take that. There's only 3 of them now. Start with 5.
It's just going to be Gary soon, isn't it?
Exactly.
Let's be honest. He's going to be playing one of those one-man band things, you know?
Like Dick Van Dyke in
Yeah.
Mary Poppins.
I was thinking of the genie in Aladdin, actually, as well.
All right, let's turn this ship
Turn
around.
the ship around.
Oh, wow, well done.
Wow. I give up.
I actually sang the Family Guy version there as well, just in case you were wondering. Let's go into Netflix and chill, guys.
Netflix and chill.
I have another bit of gossip to talk to you about, which I'm going to go look up on my phone. Phil, tell people about the Formula One programme.
So Netflix this week have released the Formula One programme due to the Formula One season starting next weekend in Melbourne, Australia. It's a look back at the 2018 season, insights of the drivers, and the pressures and intensity that they're under. It's a classic Netflix production of high quality, good interviews, excellent visuals, and if you don't like Formula One, probably don't watch it. If you do watch it, if you do like Formula One, it is a must watch.
Okay.
It's an excellent programme and gives you that little bit more info that you Formula One coverage in the UK isn't that brilliant for giving you behind the scenes looks at what's going on, and this just fills in a few gaps of you get to understand what goes into designing the cars and the engineering and the kind of budgets that they're featuring. So for someone like me who likes a sports documentary, 10 out of 10, highly recommend.
Have you seen that Losers documentary?
Yeah.
That looks
Oh, it's so
interesting.
good.
We haven't watched it.
I've only watched
but
one,
it
and that
looks
was about
good.
Torquay United, which was my granddad's favourite team, and they lived about 3 streets away, so I was very... I knew exactly like all the ins and outs of the club because one of the teams I like to follow, and it's really, really interesting. I'm looking forward to watching about the other sports. I've heard the boxing one they were talking about on the radio the other day is particularly interesting, with the pressures of the fathers and stuff in boxing, and yeah, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, and there's a cricket one as well that I've not got around to watching because there's only so many hours in the day. But I
know it's a.
I will get round to watching that as well.
My little bit of Netflix and chill that I wanted to share with you guys is we've had more kind of... I feel like I'm just sort of being a bit of a like rumour mongerer on this, I'm sorry, but just we're starting to get...
Yeah, you're letting your Twitter
Yeah.
interfere with our podcast.
I'm being the Rita Skeeter of the podcast.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to allow it now because you made
No,
that
it's
comparison.
okay. Thanks, Brian. A boy of 12. His eyes shine with the ghosts of his past.
Oh my gosh.
So, we've had some rumours come out about the Lord of the Rings TV series. Now,
Oh, yes.
I would like to know what you guys kind of think of... So, the first rumour was it was going to be a young Aragorn story, but we're starting to now think that it's older than that, like much older. So, this is the scoop, which is basically they've released a map, and people have inferred, like the Lord of the Rings nerds, have, and much respect to them, have looked at the map, and due to the place names on the map being their old names, they have kind of inferred that this is going to be set way back. So, we've got Minas Anor is the previous name of the White City Minas Tirith, which prominently featured in Return of the King. Then you've got Minas Ithil on the map. Ithil? Actually, Minas Ithil. Which is the previous name for Minas Morgul, which is the big, scary green fortress that Frodo, Sam and Gollum have to sneak past. So the fact that these two cities are signified by their old names means that the series could therefore take place in the 2000th year of the Third Age, when Minas Ithil fell to the Nazgul and was then renamed. People kind of say that it's therefore going to be set in the Kingdom of Men during the Third Age, just after their first defeat of Sauron. So, what do you guys think? Are you kind of excited by that being a possible setting for the series?
I'm excited by anything.
She's so hard to please.
Oh, was that sarcasm?
I am. I think going back further, yeah, a little bit. I think going back further than something that's not going to connect directly with the story we already know is more interesting than, oh, here's young Aragorn.
Right.
We
Young
know
any
what
existing
happens
character.
eventually. So, yeah, I think we know so little about Sauron that having him involved would be cool. Like seeing his rise. It's kind of like the Star Wars prequels, right? Like finding out how Darth Vader becomes Darth Vader instead of Anakin is an interesting backstory. Finding out why Aragorn becomes who he is, I mean, I'd watch it still, but it's not as interesting as that getting in the mind of a evil supervillain, in my opinion, anyway.
I feel like there's only so much they can do with a young Aragorn as well, because we've seen the exciting stuff. You know, when his journey really kicks off, is pretty much in the Lord of the Rings. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure he had plenty of hijinks, but yeah, I'm with you. I like the thought of going back further, and if we kind of see Sauron's rise, then like, was he once human? Was he a jealous human who saw the Nine get their rings and then was like, I'm going to make a better one than that? Like, you know, how well known were all the rings of power in the world? So that does interest me greatly. Did he rise and then turn the Nine, or had like how does that all kind of play out? So, but then if it's set just after he's been defeated, then that's going to be like Isildur and people like that. So I don't know, but I'm intrigued. Like you, Brian, I think going back further is a really, really good idea. Yeah, for this. What about you, Mr. Very Quiet?
Yeah, hint, hint, Star Wars. Back further.
Excited? Yay? Nay? Don't care?
I think they should have stopped at Lord of the Rings.
Oh my gosh. You're so painful.
I think the further they go back, the better. I think it's a more interesting story. Do I really need to know why Aragorn
Was called
turned
Strider.
into Strider? Probably not. But if he is, I bet there's some good sword fighting stories in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So, as long as the production value's good and the story's good, I'm on board.
Well, they have the largest television show budget ever, so
I think it's going to be epic.
it should at least look good.
Which sometimes is all we need, like the Shannara Chronicles.
Like the
where
Meg.
everyone and everything looks good. Yes, or the Meg. So I think that is it for Netflix and Chill. And in fact, that wraps up all of our segments. So let's go to the main event.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is your main event.
Yay, everyone! We've all seen Captain Marvel. My voice got really, really high.
I'm putting out there straight away. It easily went in my top 10, if not my top 3 Marvel movies.
I think it may have edged into my top 5. I usually keep it like, I don't know. Weirdly, I like to keep my top 5 like to myself. I don't like put it out there every time a new movie comes out or anything. But yeah, For me, man, anything now to do with Marvel and space is just like where my wheelhouse is. And this kind of took the space and Earth and stuck it together in a great way.
I just went in, as I messaged you guys earlier or the other day, and said I didn't have particularly high expectations.
No, you were
because,
really not.
I wasn't sure how they were going to. Spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, spoilers are going to be rampant throughout this episode.
I didn't know how they were going to make a Marvel Superman, basically, and it not appear to be. Why on earth did she not just appear when everything was kicking off in New York, etc.? But they managed it. They nailed it. Her rising from not knowing anything to then being this all-encompassing power of, I'm just going to go and save stuff, the planet, people, the aliens, was just incredible, and I loved every minute of it. And my eyes, it was like I was chopping onions because their little tear appeared. So it even pulled on the emotional side rather than just that she was like incredibly strong, and the fight. I've read some reviews where they said the fight scenes are a bit over the top, but they weren't. They were really good. It was all really good, and the soundtrack was really good. And yeah, I think they're going above and beyond at the moment with what they're producing, and they're putting a lot of different franchises to shame with what they are producing with such consistency.
Oh, I agree completely with that. Like, the MCU, every time I think, oh, how can they get better than this? Like, they can't keep up this pace, this kind of content, and then they just keep doing it. So
It's a hit every time.
yeah.
So I mean, what did you think then, Shelby? Kind of as your overall first impressions of the film?
I mean, it was incredible. And I thought that they did a great job telling a very interesting story. Because, I mean, sometimes you watch Marvel movies like The Avengers, and they're great, but it's less about the story and more about, like, let's see how many action scenes we can pack in here with all your favorite characters. Personal opinion. But...
Which is wrong! No,
Well, it's hard, because whenever you have those Avengers movies, you have so many characters that everyone loves, and how do you give them time to have those moments where they have that character development and really go deep into something for them? I mean, if you did that for every single character, you'd have an 8-hour movie. So having that in...
Which I'm fine with.
Any origin film, this is probably one of the best origin films, right up there with me for... Iron Man. I would put it on that same level of origin film because I sometimes I feel like you just have to compare Marvel movies to themselves, otherwise it's not fair.
Anymore it's honestly not a fair comparison to some other IPs, in my opinion.
But I loved it. I loved the story. Carol Danvers is so cool.
Yes.
She is so cool, and the way they got their messages across, and I mean, I cried multiple times. It was great.
I want to be best friends with Carol, basically.
Same.
What I said as soon as it finished, and we were waiting for the final two scenes, that for some unknown reason, people
madness.
still got up and walked out before the credits.
I know, how do people not know at
They
this
should just
point?
lock the doors. Like, you're
I
not
was
allowed
getting
to
so
leave.
stressed, it was unreal. I said, this is what Wonder Woman should have been, basically. It was a female-led superhero movie that embraced what it was, and there was an emotional side to it, and she was also like the most uber strong, and you've got to question whether she is just the greatest Avenger now, instead of the Hulk.
Wow, okay.
Whoa.
Wow.
Hold on.
That's a choice.
Yeah, we're not letting that go.
Let's talk about Captain America.
Captain who?
Thor.
You mean Thor?
Or Hawkeye.
Ronan, you mean?
Dude, I do. I carry a big torch
I am
for Hawkeye.
I am
so
full
excited
on Ronan. I cannot
for
wait.
Endgame.
Um,
Yeah.
and Yeah, I said it's what Wonder Woman should have been. It embraced everything about women, and there was a compassionate side, but there was also the side of you can put me down and I'm just going to rise up, and all those scenes with the
I
girl,
cried, yeah.
every time
I
she
cried.
was getting screwed over or something was going wrong, she got up and
Yeah.
did it again and got up and did it again. It's such a strong message to
The
be
best
giving.
moment.
It was just incredible, and
Yeah.
I just loved it.
Yeah.
I really, really wasn't looking forward to it, and I absolutely adored it.
Do you think then, if I can just sort of like, I mean, I know we've just said obviously that it is kind of unfair to compare Marvel films to anything else, just because they really are knocking them out of the park. But I suppose that's an interesting point that you've picked up on there, because I mean, Wonder Woman was in the back of my mind as well, because that was a big kind of female-led superhero movie, and she was really sort of smashing through with that. So how come what sort of made you make that comparison then of why you preferred this one? How is it that Captain Marvel was portrayed that seemed to kind of just do it for you better than
I think it's just
Wonder
a better
Woman?
movie. It was better written. It was better acted.
Mm-hmm.
It was better filmed.
Better story.
And what the other thing? It was a decent story, but then at the same time, I think everyone knew at the beginning that Jude Law was going to be a baddie.
Jude Law's always a baddie.
And there was the twist. There was
I mean, he is Albus Dumbledore, though. So.
But Mendelssohn is
I
always
know!
a baddie.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
true.
a good
that was a really good
switcheroo,
twist, because
yeah.
he came across the start. So it was a really good switch. You're like,
Yeah.
oh wow, okay, and then you're like, yeah, she knows the truth, and now she's seen it all, and then I just
Okay. Yeah. I following on from what you've said about like with her compassion and things, something that I really, really appreciated was it was constantly being hammered to her that she had to like control her emotions, and you cannot be emotional in this situation, and she clearly she wears her heart on her sleeve, and I really appreciated that the kind of key to her success was actually not controlling her emotions, and actually sort of with that kind of chip on the back of her, it really sort of symbolized that she's being kind of caged, boxed in, like she said, fighting with one arm tied the whole time, and actually it's like that kind of letting go and be emotional, be angry, be upset, and that was the thing that was kind of the key to her success, and I really, really appreciated that, especially as a girl who, we do get told, oh, you're over emotional all the time, oh, your emotions cloud your judgment and stuff like that, and it's like, actually no, they don't.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep. And it's more of instead of having her be an incredible superhero in a like men's superhero world, she's just being who she is what makes her so powerful. Mm-hmm. She doesn't have to go by this like controlling yourself and kind of going what is his name? I just think of him as Jude Law.
I can't remember what his name
yeah,
was actually.
Teacher. It doesn't matter. But instead of listening to him and doing what he says, just being herself instead of trying to conform to what the Krees are supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, wasn't it? When he was trying, the whole time he's like, fight me without your powers, and it's like he was fighting her every time that he was setting the situation up because for him to win, and it was actually like at the end, she's like, oh, no, screw that. I've got these powers. I'm going to use them and I'm going to knock you on your butt, basically. Oh, that was cracking.
That whole speech that he gave about being proud of her and all this stuff and proving something to him, and she just shut it down, was one of the best moments, because it's like we're not even entertaining this.
I thought it was one of Samuel L. Jackson's best performances as well, and his character really came through, and it gave a nice comedic air to it as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm not sure how they did
He played a terrific Nicholas.
Yes.
I'm not sure how they did the CGI to make him look young, but however they did it, they did an amazing job.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the Pulp Fiction reference that they had in the movie?
Oh, no, which one was that?
It's when Mendelssohn's character is in their house and shows up and he's drinking that soda.
Right.
And it's just like in Pulp Fiction.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, when
Tasty
Oh,
beverage.
Yeah,
that's clever.
exactly.
That is clever. Yeah, I agree. It was good.
That's the best part about the internet, because all those little things would like zoom right past me and I'd never pick them up. But you know, the internet's full of people that don't even watch the movie. They're just looking for the Easter eggs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good comedy in it.
I think that's something Marvel does really well. Like throughout what we were saying earlier before we started, we both had the trailer for Shazam before the movie, and it's the first DCEU movie that really is flipping their normal script and not taking itself seriously at all, and embracing the comedy aspect of, I mean, comic books are supposed to be a little bit funny and a little bit goofy. Taking it too seriously, I think, is why the DCEU doesn't really work. I don't know, but that's just my DCEU hate opinion. But anyway, Shazam actually does look good because it's embracing the comedy, and I think that's something that has helped Marvel the whole time. Is it always has the funny moments. Like even in Infinity War, as heavy as all that stuff was, there was still laughable moments.
It's because that's why it's a hit, is because people who don't like superhero movies need some comedy in there to keep them coming back. And if something's too serious, like, I am the superhero, I will stand for justice.
No, I'm Batman. I do like those Batman movies.
Well, that's the thing. Grittiness is okay in certain, in certain contexts and certain characters. It just, like you say, it suits Batman and it suited those films really well. But it's just like you say, I think Marvel know when you need a little lift. Because I mean, even like Black Panther, I'd say, was one of the more serious Marvel films, and that still had some great moments in it because they can bring a character like Shuri into it, who she can then kind of lift the tension in the scenes, and she's have those little moments. I know, she's one of your favourites.
She is one of the best characters.
Cool.
And okay, so what are people's opinion on the cat? Goose.
I want like more and less of the cat.
Well, you knew the whole time, okay, this isn't just a cat, but having no previous knowledge of Captain Marvel almost at all, like, that's a big black hole in my comics knowledge. I didn't know what it was. I even tried to get it out of my brother. I was like, so what is the cat? And he's like, you'll see. But yeah, when like the tentacle monster came out of the cat's mouth, I just about lost it. That was amazing.
It was when they were sort of brandishing it as a weapon in front.
Oh yeah, get that thing away from me.
It was just too funny. And then the sort of when the cat then didn't quite perform how Nick Fury wanted it to. It's sort of like, will you pick a side? I thought it was more and less of the cat, I think. But
mostly because it acted exactly like a cat.
Especially at the end. Anyone who's owned a cat will know those telltale signs that your cat is about to puke, because it ain't subtle.
Yep.
I know.
Oh man, I hope I can get to the carpet before.
Yeah.
Just in time.
Yeah. So I've just been I was looking this up before we started this episode, but Captain Marvel has been like smashing it at the box office this weekend. I think we had a same release date, didn't we, here? And
it was International Women's Day, wasn't it?
Oh, is that when they did it?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yep.
That's clever. You see what they've done there.
That's when they did that.
Yeah.
And it's actually empowering for women as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We need to put a pin in that and come back to that.
There was no lingering shots of her bum and stuff.
I don't think I'm done talking about that yet. But in terms of like how well it's done, apparently it is the biggest worldwide opening of all time for a female-fronted film, and it's the second largest comic book opening gross ever. So, like, she's crushing it basically at the box office. And I wanted to know what you guys thought of, like, why do you think that is? I mean, obviously we know it's a good movie, but what is it that's bringing people to this movie? Is it just we're all hyped for something new? Is it because people just want Infinity War answers? Like, what do you think it is this?
That actually might be something I hadn't thought of, but maybe, yes.
Yeah, people are desperate to know things about Infinity War. But I also think it's, I read an article the other day and it was talking about how even though Aquaman was really successful, it really wasn't that successful as far as bringing in money. And
the whole Christmas season was a
not
more or
very
less
good.
a flop compared to what it usually is.
Mm-hmm. So it's like saying that Captain Marvel is saving the box office because we haven't had a home run film in a while. And I think that's part of it. I think that it's released at the exact right time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not only just International Women's Day, it's during Women's History Month. People are seeing a lot of things about it. So it's like, oh yeah, let's go to that Captain Marvel film. Plus everyone goes to see a Marvel movie. And it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Being objective and just saying, when was the last time we had a Marvel film? This is a big lead-in, obviously, to Endgame because of the after-credit scene. And, yeah, there just hasn't been a lot to get the people that like the Marvel movies excited, really. I mean, there have been some great movies out, but they haven't been the box office.
I was going to say, have we had
wonders
anything since Ant-Man and the Wasp? Or was that our last Marvel film?
Mm-mm.
And that was back in the summer. So
it's
yeah,
been a while.
it has been a while. I don't know if part of me thought, are people just, ready for, they're ready to see, they want to see some more like female-led films, because the thing is having a woman in the lead role like that, we're not used to seeing it, so it just not only does it feel great, obviously, but it's like different. You get a different narrative, a different view on it, and I don't know whether people are just like, yeah, do you know what, I'm done with the same old. I mean, even the whole concept of like that this was her kind of origins film, they still did it in such a different way, of that she's trying to find out her origins as well. We're not just seeing that from
she's unscrambling it right alongside us, which is interesting.
I thought that was fun.
Which I have to also say, her friendship with, her best friend and her daughter. Oh my gosh.
Which
that was so good.
It was.
It had more power than any love interest ever could have been.
Yeah, it was nice that that it wasn't one of these things of, oh, she either hates children and never wants to have children, or she wants to have children, and there's a twist that way. It was just, it's her friend, it's her daughter, they all love each other, and it was amazing. Yeah, it's a strong, like.
It's the thing is, it was strong with that. It felt very, it's how. Funnily enough, it's how our friendships are with our girlfriends, in that, I think I've mentioned to you guys, there's some little squee moments in, I might not actually name the Star Wars book that's just come out, but of, female friendships being portrayed, and it was, they were literally brushing each other's hair and braiding each other's hair. And I was like, it's just, as an adult woman, I have not brushed another adult woman's hair. And so for me,
you can brush my hair.
I've got incredible locks, in fairness. But that just, to me, it's like, it's not realistic. It's just that, where like, this was like, this is my friendships getting up on a karaoke machine and screaming our lungs out to our favourite songs.
Yeah, I loved all those little like snippets of things of their lives that you would see, and yeah, you're right, it's all things you can put yourself in easily.
Well, a lot of times in action movies, we used to talk about this in my women in film class, is that the reason a woman is so tough is because she has to avenge or rescue another person of her family, usually like her father, her husband, her child, especially her child, like the mother who's either avenging or going to save her child, so she'll do anything to do that. And she has none of those things. It's all about her. It's all about her own self-discovery.
Yeah. And the thing is, like you say, she's so relatable. As it sort of, I knew that she had incredible powers because I've played her in a video. That's my only experience with Captain Marvel, is playing that Capcom versus Marvel game. And I always used to play as Captain Marvel because I was like, she's a beast, I'm going to play as her. And it was the only one that I could actually like beat Phil if I played as Captain Marvel. But like all that aside, she's so relatable because actually it all came back to like her humanity was what made, I mean, obviously her powers kick butt, but you know, that, like you say, Phil, that scene where she kind of flashes back to all these moments where she constantly is picking herself back up. And the thing is, like, we've all been that kid that's fallen off a bike and had to pick ourselves back up again. And we've had every single one of us, we've had knockbacks in our personal lives, in our professional lives, and then we've all got back on our feet and carried on, because that's very much part of what makes us human. And that was the bit that I just absolutely choked up when I saw her doing that, because I was just like, that is incredible to see on screen.
Well, and I felt the same way.
Yeah.
That's relatable for everyone. That's not just like
like you say, we've all been that kid on the bike.
Look at people, you know what I mean? Like I cry in movies all the time, to be fair, but
That's true.
I did. I was moved because it's part of, like you said, the human experience. And if you where are you if you don't get back up? You're a slug. Get up. Maggot. You've forgotten the face of your father.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Oh. So
Anyway.
so we sort of had a little chat there about Carol. What other let's talk about kind of the supporting cast. So for example, what did everyone think of the little nods to Ronan in it? Were you expecting Ronan to turn up?
Nods?
I was not expecting that, but
I hadn't thought about it, but then again, with his devotion for the Kree, it would be weird for him not to, because of the timeline.
He's so extra as well. Like, Lee Pace plays the most extra characters all the time. This is one of the big reasons why I really, really want you guys to watch the Hobbit films, because he's so freaking extra in that as well. And literally, Phil, you'd like elbow him and you were like, he's really extra. I was like, I know. I just love him so much.
He knew it was a battle not worth fighting as well.
I was like, we are getting out of here. Bye. Which was, I appreciated greatly. But I think one of my favourite sort of non-Carol Danvers characters was definitely Ben Mendelsohn's character. That was such a... I loved that whole storyline. I was starting to feel really, really invested in them by the end.
Oh, yeah, I would love to see a film about them and the shapeshifters and what went on with the Kree and stuff. It was really, really good.
Really good.
Yeah, I was talking to Michael Miller, our comics guru, about how I would 100% be in for just like a space Marvel movie. Like, it doesn't even have to have superheroes in it. I just want to know more about this world, or this whole galaxy that exists outside of Earth. We've only gotten these little tastes as part of like Ragnarok and Guardians, and now Captain Marvel. So I would be 100% okay with, or maybe like a TV series that explores Marvel, if you're listening. Do it.
I mean, the adventures of Carol Danvers trying to find a home for the shapeshifters would be a great
Yeah.
series.
I would be 100%
we were talking
okay
about
with
this
that.
as the what is going to be Captain Marvel 2. Because you've got to feel that they're going to continue with because this is quite clearly going to be a success. Is it going to be her going and fighting the AI?
Yes.
And how's that all going to happen, and what's that going to evolve? Maybe was the thought that we came up with. So
yeah, because I sort of feel like I need to watch Guardians of the Galaxy now to kind of figure out where those timelines are going to, because the Guardians are the ones who end up kind of ultimately taking down Ronan. So I wonder how, is it Ronan or Ronin? I don't know. But anyway, so is she then going to kind of separately, like you say, be going after was it Supreme Leader or something like that thing?
Supreme Intelligence, isn't it?
That's
The
it.
Supreme Intelligence.
Who would your Supreme Intelligence be? Me, probably.
Well, it's quite a personal question, isn't it?
Ooh, I like it though. That's a good one. I hadn't thought about that.
So it's
What
is it?
I'll really have to ruminate on that one.
It's someone who's the most important to you, or is it the
Most
the
admired.
most admired? That's very bold of you then, Phil, wasn't it? It would be all three of you would be me, of course.
Mine would be someone like Sir Alex Ferguson.
Oh wow, so not someone even close to you. I was gonna say I was probably going to go for Ledley, to be honest. Ledley's our dog, just in case you didn't know.
Gosh.
I just think it's
That'd be trippy though if it was your dog and then it like was anthropomorphized and walked around on its back legs and like talked to you.
But yeah, I can definitely see there is so much there's so much scope for more Carol, and I'm really, really here for it.
Do you think they will go back in time for the next one and do something pre-Infinity War / Endgame, or do you think they'll? Do you think after Endgame they're basically going to move everything forward except obviously the Spider-Man movie?
I'm not too sure. The reason I think that they could go back is because they could base it somewhere in the universe that is of insignificance to the current storyline, but still involve Captain Marvel as she is. Because this...
What if she's out trying to find this new home world and, you know, we have various adventures, and at the end they're like, okay, we finally got it. We finally found the place. And then all of a sudden half the people just disappear.
Oh, that would be literally immense.
And she's like, what?
Yeah.
And then you see her little beeper go off.
Well, because this was something I was going to sort of I mean, I try not to do it too much just because I think it really does stifle your enjoyment of a film, of like, because of the whole, you know, the continuity of the MCU here, and you need to start being able to justify why people are or are not in places when it's all going down the pan.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I do try and not do that quite so much just because I just find you can get a little bit too wrapped up in continuity, and then it just doesn't, you can't just kick back and enjoy it. But having said that,
Imagine trying to unravel the old Star Wars canon. It was impossible.
But like with someone as powerful as Captain Marvel, I suppose, do you think they did a good enough job to justify why she is far away and does not come back until, as we now know, is, you know, after the event?
I do. I think that if it got to any further along in the stage of New York situation, Fury would have pressed the button.
Yeah, I mean, New York was covered, wasn't it?
He felt that it was under control.
Yeah, like Thor's there. How many more people do you need?
Well, and he's creating the team. He knows Carol's not around to be part of the team. She's doing her own thing. So he's trying to work with what he has and make that gel as part of the whole New York thing. And then I think, I don't know, Ultron wasn't quite as high stakes as the first Avengers, I don't think. So then there's even less reason for him to push the button in that instance.
And it was more about tech guys rather than needing power. They needed the tech guys to work that one out. I just think it's a little bit like the legend of King Arthur, that one day when Britain is in trouble, he will rise from the grave. And at the moment, it's not happened because we've never been in that much trouble. But now, the Marvel world is in that much trouble that they need her back.
Yeah.
Because half the population will be wiped out.
Yeah, 'cause...
I'm not sure how she's going to fit in. This is going to be the interesting thing. It's going to be interesting how they're going to make her character in Endgame as important as she should be and as likeable as she is in, obviously, her own film, to interact with the other characters and how that's all going to work. It really intrigues me because she's just an ultimate fighting force. So yeah, she fights Thanos, but where does that still lead the story? That's why Endgame is so intriguing as a film, because you literally have no idea what's going to happen, and it's not many times you can think, right, what's going to happen is there's going to be a battle and the good guys are going to win. Potentially, I know that didn't happen in the Infinity War, but that's where you look like it's going to go. But getting from A to B, how are they actually going to do it, and how is she going to be involved in that, really intrigues me. So
yeah,
guys, it's next month.
Yeah,
that's
insane.
Can't even.
Everything's next month.
I proper choked.
You had that, like, Captain Marvel will return in Avengers Endgame came up at the end, and I was like, oh my god, that's like next month. Oh, holy cow.
I do think she's going to be like the catalyst for action. Because, like you say, you don't really know who she's going to have lost as a result of the finger clicking. But
Exactly.
she
might
could
have
come.
lost the kid,
Yeah.
mightn't she?
Well, and also, like she said, her first words were like, "Where's Nick?" Because you think that was quite a genuine.
No, she said,
Oh, yeah,
"Where's
Fury?"
Fury?" Because you only
Yeah.
call him.
Yeah,
Fury.
so Nicholas.
I'm sorry.
That was the best, like, little nod. Like, well done,
Yes.
Nicholas. And then he just looks over like, okay, you're not real.
I am Ben Mendelsohn in this situation. But yeah, like they obviously struck up quite a genuine friendship. I really liked all of their scenes together, and I think Nick had come to kind of Fury had come to kind of mean a lot to her. So, she's going to come back livid, and I kind of feel like the Avengers are they're going to be on a downer, aren't they? In that first sort of act of the film is going to be them reeling from it, and how do we pick ourselves up? And I just wonder whether like the flaming torch that she's going to come in and be like, right, well, let's get on with this then.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I like what Phil said about how she's going to fit in. Like, obviously she's going to fit in because she's a super weapon and they're going to be happy to have her. But how is she going to fit into that dynamic that they've developed through essentially 3+ movies where they've been working together?
Also, it's going to be interesting to see, like, her seeing what Fury built because of her.
The Avengers. Oh, that just...
And she's going to be like, you're the Avengers?
Yeah.
She might laugh at them or
Wait
something.
a minute.
They used to call me that.
I loved that.
I think
really loved
what
that.
she's going to go up into space. She's going to fly around the Earth really fast, and then it's going to turn
Time backwards like Superman.
And with that, I think we're done.
Oh my gosh, that's
No,
No, okay.
does that happen before another film? Then? Oh.
I'm gonna just round this off, I think, because we can't really follow that now. Just
Thank you.
with, and I'm going to put you all on the spot a little bit, so sorry. We'll edit out a
dear.
massive pause if that happens. What was your favourite? What's one of your favourite moments from the film? I know it's quite new. We've only just seen it, but was there like a standout moment?
Yeah,
Go on then.
Jude Law or Young Rog, or whatever his name was going, oh, let's just fight. Put your powers down, let's fight. And her just going, no, bang. Then dragging him along the ground, putting him back in the spaceship.
Yeah,
and
that
going,
was good too.
You're giving him a message, and you tell him I'm coming for him. It was just like, I've had enough of your
Yeah.
stuff, and you need to go back. You need to tell him I've had enough of it. I've got other things I need to deal with at the moment, and you are doing my head in, basically. And it was just like, it was the moment of come on, we're gonna fight with fists, whatever. It's no, I've got the powers. I'm fed up of this messing about. I'm just gonna deal with it and get on with it.
Very well put. Very well put. What about you, Shelby? Is there a particular moment for you that stands out as one of your favourites?
I mean, number one favorite's going to have to be the scene where she stands up as, like, different times of her life. But, I mean, I feel like that's going to be everybody's. So my second favorite is when she's saying that she doesn't even know who she is anymore. And her friend kind of steps into the conversation and says, "You are Carol Danvers."
Yeah.
I thought that was really emotional, and I liked that scene a lot.
It's like you've pointed this out a lot in your podcast. I can remember when you used to say that sort of claiming the name, like I am Jyn Erso kind of thing. Like it, there's something really sort of like empowering about that. Of like, this is your name, this is who you are. I like that. I like that a lot. What about you, Brian? What was one of your standout moments?
I really liked toward the beginning when she was fighting with those things on her hands. And she couldn't really use her powers. So it was just, I don't know. I found it very interesting that they came up with a way to kind of mute her powers. And she was like, whatever, I can still wreck shop without that. And then she finally got him off, and then it was really on. But
which is an interesting foreshadowing of, like, her being... You think that the, what is it, Krolls?
Yeah, Scrolls.
Scrolls are the ones that are, like, muting her powers, but it's actually the Kree.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I like all of those ones you've said now. I was just like, oh yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one.
I know, right? I really like the beginning through the
Yeah,
end of
that
the
was my
movie. It was
favorite part.
A really good
really.
part.
Yeah, obviously, probably for me, I'd be the same with the standing. I love how she I loved how she took out the ship at the end, where she's just like, I'm just gonna fly through this and take it out, and then kind of like squares up to Ronan at the front there. I thought that was really, really cool. And then like as a little scene, and they're not normally like my all-time favorites or anything, but I really liked her interaction with Stanley's cameo as well on the bus right at the beginning. Given the fact that he's like passed away, and they had that like nice tribute to him at the beginning, and she just like does that little smile. Oh, and speaking of smiles, when she steals the motorbike off that guy, when he was like, "Cheer up, love, why don't you crack us a smile?"
Oh yeah.
And then she's just like, "Oh, I'm gonna take."
She's
that
just whacking out a
motorbike."
9 Inch Nails t-shirt as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. I like how he's like lose the flannel.
You look like someone's.
Grunge is a good look.
Yeah,
for
he's like,
you.
you look like someone's disillusioned niece, and I was like, "Oh shit." She really did. So yeah, actually, stealing the motorbike was really cool as well. So yeah, I think that wraps up our little chat on
Go and see
Captain
it.
Marvel. Oh yeah,
If you've not already,
go and see it.
Yes.
We've probably spoiled it for you,
we
but
spoiled the
we haven't.
entire.
Yeah, go see it anyway.
But yeah, we all absolutely loved it. So yeah, let us know if you guys have seen it. Come get in touch and let us know what you think of Captain Marvel, or if you want to come and scream to us about your hype for Endgame as well. That will also be cool. And obviously, thank you very much for listening. We appreciate your downloads and plays. So thank you. I'm going to hand you over to my American counterparts for all the professional stuff at the end, because I can't wrap up a podcast.
You can find us on social media, where Phil is not, at PNE_pod for both Twitter and Instagram.
Hit us up via email at contact@podsandends.com.
And check out our website, podsandends.com.
Ta-da!
Okay, bye!
Thanks for listening. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Ciao.